Thanks.
I appreciate it. All right. Sweet. So today, the reason that we decided to do this this presentation today is because I went on out of town for the 4th of July, and we knew that this was an issue. And literally, I came back and how was 4th of July week, guys? Like sales, a little slow, a little bit of a shift. My phone from 7 a.m. till 6 o'clock Monday after the 4th was just talking to people about their listings. Like, my listing's not showing, I'm not getting any offers, I don't know what's going on, I don't know how to reposition this. So I said, okay, this is really creating some clarity on what is needed to be talked about. And you know, we've said it multiple times, like if in 2020, 2021, 2022, you know, when, you know, the market's going up, anybody can sell a house, right? Like, it's how hard is it to sell a house to say, hey, if you buy this, it's going to be worth more money tomorrow than it is today. And you talk to a seller and you say, hey, I guarantee if you list this, you're going to get more money than the house that sold before. But today, that's not the case, right? Like, Brian did his Brian Talks, his coffee talks. These are those stats that he talked about in the coffee talks. And if you remember, he said, I want you guys to have this together so you can present this to your client, okay? Like this, right? So now we can bring these to our clients. We're gonna give you guys these today. We're not gonna laminate them for you, but you can download them and print them and laminate them yourself. It's time. But you could literally use a dry erase pen on these. But what we're seeing in the market, right, is active listings are up 37.2%. Where average days on MLS are up 17.4, which still isn't bad. We're still under 30 days in the MLS, which is average. But when we're used to houses selling in 3-4 days, it feels a little different, right? Like a little stressful. And then pending listings are down 4.6%. But look at how much they're down from 2020. You know, 2020 we had almost 6,500 pending listings, and right now we're under 4,000. Right? That's a huge drop in pending listings. And then how about showings per listings? Right now in the MLS, over the last week, do you know how many showings we averaged last week per listing in the MLS?
2.
About one.
It was about about one. One showing per listing. So I don't know about you guys, but
Is that just last week? What about the week before?
It's hard to sell a house.
Last week was a big travel trip.
yeah, it was a big travel week. Did my seller care?
No.
Why aren't they traveling to my house?
Yeah.
And it kind of freaked me out, you know, like I get back and I'm like, oh no, like, you know, what do I need to do to increase activity on this property, right? Like, what's going on? So today we're going to talk about 4 different parts. Julie, we're going to talk about 4 different parts today. We're going to talk about how do you price a property today? Okay, so what is your pricing conversation? So this is the conversation like you're meeting with the seller right now and you're trying to determine the price of the property. What conversations do you need to have today? If you're repositioning a property, so this could be an expired listing like yours, Tessa. If you're repositioning a property, you take an expired listing that's been on the market for a year, like yours, and now you have to bring it to the market. It has to be a completely different property. It has to look different, smell different, show different. It needs to be different in order to get showings, right? So how do you reposition a property? Or if you have a property that's going stale, what are things you can do to reposition it right now, right? Because I don't know about you guys, I feel like probably right now we're going to get more money than we will next month, and the month after that, and the month after that. So our best chance is to get it sold right now. So what do we need to do to get properties sold, reposition our properties that we have right now and get those sold? Then we're going to talk about the price reduction conversations and how do you provide feedback to your current sellers, We're going to talk a little bit about that, things that you can do and look at to have those conversations. And then finally is how do you, and this is the misunderstood part, right? This is the misunderstood part of the opportunity in this market. Because there's great opportunity right now too. One of the things that I forgot about, is back when you could advertise a listing and you would pick up 1, 2, 3 buyers, right? Like I know you were talking about a listing that you had that you were like, got a lot of buyers. You had it listed for a long time. You got a lot of buyers off of it, right?
And sellers.
And sellers. So what are some things we can do to generate 2 leads for every listing we got? Because that, if you read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, that was a stat in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. For every listing you have, you should have 2 buyer leads coming in off of it. That you could, buyer or seller leads coming in. But over the past 4 years, when you put the listing up and it sold in 30 minutes, you didn't have a chance to really drive activity to get those buyer leads or those seller leads. So what are some things that we can do? So those are the 4 things we're going to push through today. It's going to be a lot, and we're going to go fast, okay? But I have some plants in the audience. They're going to share what they're doing right now. So again, if you go to kwadvantagerealty.com, on-demand training, coaching corner, these are already loaded. Okay, everything I'm going to share with you is already loaded in there. And these are not new. Just to tell you, these tools that I'm going to share with you, they're not new tools. We just haven't had to use them in the past 7 years, right? Like talking to your seller about the market, right? The past 7 years, you go, well, the last one sold for $650. Let's price it 2 to 3% over that one. Put it on the market, right? Or if you price it at $650, you're going to get multiple offers. It's going to go for more than $650. That's obviously not the case right now with active listings outpacing our sales. Okay, so we can't have that conversation. So first thing we want to talk to people about is we want to talk to them about seasonality, right? And this is something that people don't realize. Every single market across the United States has seasonality. It's not the same in Colorado as it is in Florida, okay? Real estate markets are very fluid. They ebb and flow, and there's lots of things that cause fluctuations in the market. It's not just interest rates, right? What's the number 1 factor that's going to change a market more than anything else? What do you got? No, there's one thing that leads it all.
Consumer confidence, interest rates.
Small local market, small local, not national market, on a small market, because real estate markets are local, right?
Jobs?
Weather.
News.
Kind of jobs, meaning
Bonuses?
Buyers.
new employment,
Oh, okay.
new jobs, new higher paying jobs. Boom, the market shifts, right? Wham, all of a sudden the market goes in another direction. This is one reason why Denver outpaces most of the nation, is we're not a single employment market. Some places have, like Midland, Texas is very oil and gas, right? Very oil and gas. The gas prices drop, the real estate values drop. The gas prices raise, real estate values raise. Denver has technology, we have development, we have petroleum and gas, we have lots of different things. So our market has lots of things that help sustain it. So that's one thing. However, seasonality in Denver, when is the hot part of the market? Spring. So you can see from here, I color-coded this because it wasn't color-coded originally. I was like, we need color, right?
Who did it for you?
That springtime is the green, and we see our peaks in the spring, and then summer, what happens?
Correct. People travel.
It goes down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that happen every year?
Yes.
Every single year. You can go back 20 years. It turns every year in the summertime. So the problem that we're seeing right now when we're talking about pricing, and it literally boils my blood, is people say, but the comps show, who cares?
It's rear view mirror looking.
Yeah. Like if we're pricing off of something that sold here, right? And we're here, pricing too high. Period. Your comps are invalid today. So if we're not able to rely on solds, what do we have to rely on?
Active.
Pending competition.
Actives. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the last listing I just put up, I put it up a week before 4th of July. I priced it below market, right? Not below enough, but I priced it below market. 4th of July weekend hits. I have 4 showings in 2 weeks, 0 offers, okay? I go back in and I do the research to have this conversation with my seller, and what do I find about the 2 new actives that just hit the market?
The price lower.
They're priced lower than me. Oh no, that sucks.
Where's
So-
the listing and how much?
It's in Candelas, it's 900. The Zillow value is $1,040,000. Okay,
Kinda.
I'm at 900. 2 weeks on the market, 4 showings. Right, this is a problem. Right, this is a problem. That means my sales skills of negotiating are going to have to be really sharp. Now, I believe that we'll get more activity over the next week or 2. I'm not. I told them, I'm 100% confident we're going to get your home sold. We're not panicking right now. This is 4th of July week. 4th of July week and Christmas week, same week. Dead, right? Like, it was just the time of year, right? However, people that are coming on the market are pricing under me because they're not looking at solds, because the last sold was probably about $960. Now, we could have priced at $950, probably got less showings than we're getting, okay? So my point about this is right now when you're pricing properties or you're having conversations with your sellers about price reductions, it doesn't matter what the last one sold for. It doesn't matter what the last one sold for. You have to show them this and say, that's looking in the rearview mirror back here, because if it just closed last month, then it went under contract 60 days ago. When inventory was lower inventory, average days on market were maybe a little higher or a little lower. Pending listings were lower, right? Or higher, I should say. It was a different market 60 days ago. Okay?
What about a unique property that there's no comps for?
Sounds like mine.
There is
Yeah.
nothing for sale
Yeah.
that's similar to it.
So anytime you deal with custom properties, and you know, Julie would probably be a great person to speak to this because you deal with so many customs. You know, I always say to the seller, like, look, nobody's gonna know. It's not like a Richmond Ann Arbor or a Richmond Magnolia where we can look at 5 sales that have recently sold or 5 actives and say, oh, well, you got laminate hardwood floors and the crown molding and they don't, right? We can't do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna price it where we feel comfortable. You're probably gonna price it a little higher than I'm comfortable, and we're gonna evaluate the market, and we're gonna let the market tell us.
Would you suggest a pre-appraisal, pre-listing appraisal?
Never.
No?
Because it's never accurate. Yeah, appraisers don't have, you know how an appraiser knows what a house is worth?
So
We
what we
sold
do-
it. That's how they know what it's worth. They don't know. They don't know. Okay, so this goes to this conversation right here. Our next slick. Now you notice these are slicks. Like when you're with my hope for you is that you print these and you laminate them, and you put them in front of your sellers. Okay, so you have your listing presentation conversation. Here's what I'm going to do to list and sell your home. Do you feel comfortable allowing me to help you handle the sale of your home? They say, yes, but I don't know what your price is. You go, no problem. Other than price, you feel comfortable with me helping you with the sale of the home? Yes, I do. Sign the contract. This is your pricing conversation. This is a separate presentation. The price of the property has no bearing on you hiring me. Right? It doesn't have any bearing on it. You're not going to hire the agent that promises you the highest listing price. You want to hire the agent that you feel the most confident is going to get you to closing and net you the most money, right? So you hiring me has no bearing on our listing price. This is the pricing conversation. That's what these are. This is your pricing conversation presentation. So this chart here is your target market price chart. Now what's great about this, and this is great for price reductions too. Now this thing's been around forever, right? I mean, I saw this back in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like we had this back in the 90s. So pricing your home at a fair market value to attract more potential buyers, right? The lower the price, the more reasonable the price, the more buyers come in. But what does that look like when we're on the market? So if we have qualified buyers, so if we have fewer no showings and no offers and poor feedback, we're 7 to 10% overpriced. Okay? Now this is assuming you're inputted right in the MLS. This is assuming you don't have cell phone photos, right? This is assuming you wrote a decent description. This has some assumptions in place, right? Like, let's be fair. Like, we have to be competent, but if you're competent in your MLS presentation and you're not getting showings, you're 7 to 10% overpriced if you're getting fewer no showings or no offers and poor feedback. This could be condition, location, and obsolescence, right? Because these are the ones that sellers, they don't understand, right? They go, well, the one down the street, it sold for $800. Why isn't mine selling? Well, you back to power limits. That one had a view of Denver. Right? So they go, well, that's not, my house is better than their house. Location, right? We can't pick the house up and move it, so we can only adjust for price. So how much should we adjust for price? We're 7 to 10% off. Okay, we're 7 to 10% off. If we get showings and lowball offers, then we're probably 4 to 7% overpriced. And this is where you're getting offers. Now today, what we find oftentimes though is most buyers, if it's overpriced, they just don't make offers, right? They just don't even show it, And then lastly, is fair market value is this ring out here. The red in the center is where you're underpriced, and you get multiple offers, right? So I would say to a seller, like, look, one of three things are gonna happen when we put it on the market. And this is to Kathy's question about what do you do with a custom house, right? Well, what do I do with a custom house? I'd say, Jorge, here's what's gonna happen. One of three things are gonna happen. We're gonna put your house on the market, and one, we're gonna have 0 showings. Nobody's gonna look at it. Like, we'll go on Zillow and there'll be views on Zillow, but nobody's actually coming out and looking at it. What that means is that they're eliminating your house before they're coming to look at it. I'm gonna show you how to see that in the MLS today. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the MLS and we're gonna search a house, and I'm gonna show you what to look for when that happens, okay? So you're gonna get lots of views, whatever, online, but nobody's gonna wanna come see them. That's gonna tell us that we're somewhere up here, and we're somewhere between 7 to 10% overpriced. The second thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna get about 4 to 12 showings, and you're gonna go under contract. Each market is different, but on average, it's about 12 to 14 showings before one goes under contract. Right now, it's somewhere in there. So we're gonna get to be somewhere in there, and that's gonna tell us that we're kind of in this section here where we're priced correctly, okay? We're priced correctly, and you'll go under contract in about, it might take us a week to get 10 to 14 showings. It might take us 20 days to get 10 to 14 showings. It depends on the neighborhood, right, and the demand of that house. So that tells us that we're in this section here. Now, the worst thing that could happen is we put it up and we get floods of showings and we get multiple offers. But I have good news for you, Jorge. It's not possible to underprice your house.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's not. The biggest mistake with underpricing your house is accepting an offer too soon. I'm not going to let you do that. Okay? My job is to coach you and to negotiate the offer to the highest possible offer. It's not possible for you to underprice. The only thing that happens if you underprice is we're going to get multiple offers that's going to drive the property to the market value. Okay?
There's a term called energy pricing years ago.
Yeah,
And it develops energy.
Yeah.
They said to get the price up to the market price by going low.
yeah,
And the problem is you don't want to go low and then people can't qualify for the higher price. That was the disadvantage of
Yeah.
going too low.
or they back out, yeah,
Yeah.
because they get buyer's remorse. Because they bid it up.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
No, I was just saying that you get 5 or 6 people bidding on the house because it's 5 or 10%, let's say, below.
Yeah.
But only the ones that are capable of paying 5 or 10% more can qualify
Oh,
in
yeah.
the bidding to have a qualified mortgage to be able to buy it.
Yeah.
But that was, I like that idea.
Yeah, I do
That's
too.
me.
Yeah, I do too. And one of the techniques we'll talk about that. Okay, so the next thing you want to talk about with your sellers is you want to talk about the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market. Believe it or not, people don't know. What does the average person sell a house now? It's like, what, every about 10 years now, on average, 7 to 10 years, right? They don't know. They don't know the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market. All they know is when they bought their house, the price was here and they tried to negotiate it here, or they bought and they were in a bidding war and they overpaid. They only know their experience, right? So we have to explain to them the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market, right? So in a seller's market, this is where we talk about pricing the property to catch the wind, right? So if the last house sold at $650, we could price it $655. We could even price it $670 or $675. And the longer we're on the market, the price would actually catch us, subject to seasonality. Okay? Really important, subject to seasonality. The price won't catch you in October. By January, the market's going down. But if you price above market in March, by April, May, the market will typically catch you, right? And you're fine. It saves you. The market saves you. So in a seller's market, it's perfectly fine to price slightly above the market. The challenge is in a buyer's market, it doesn't do that. So the buyer's market, which right now we're running into a situation where we have seasonality. It's July. When was the peak this year of our market?
June?
April.
Really?
The market turned in April. That's super early, right? That's super early. So now, anything you're pricing right now, you're chasing down for 2 reasons. 1, the economy. 2, seasonality. You're chasing 2 dragons right now. So you price right here and you say, okay, your house is, the last sale was $650. And they say, yeah, well, I want to price at $670. The last sale was $650. Now you're up here. And this is the sale, this is what they want. Now you're on the market for 14 days, or 20 days, or 21 days. And they're calling you going, why hasn't it sold? Why hasn't it sold? What are you doing? What are you doing to get my house sold, Kevin? Like,
I'm looking good.
I haven't seen an ad. I haven't seen a broker open. My guy wanted me to do a broker open. I was like, oh, I'm not doing that.
Talk about some
I was like, I gotta work with those guys. I don't want to do an open house with them. You know? So then they say, okay, fine, I'll adjust my price. And what kind of price reduction does the seller want to do?
5,000.
Yeah, $5,000. I saw one the other day. It was like $900 on like a $900,000 piece.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, that must have been my
That's
guess.
just a
I
refresh.
spent
That's
that on the
just
way
a
here.
second.
Just dropped it under a
Somebody put
million.
it back.
it's a 0.01% off sale. It's great. So they reduced the price a couple thousand, but the market has dropped because everybody's pricing off of yours. Because smart agents are looking at the actives and going, okay, they've been on the market 20 days. Their house is as nice as ours. Let's not make that mistake. Let's not be them. You already bought another house. You don't want to have 2 house payments. We're going to price under this guy and steal his buyer, right? And so they price here. And then you got the neighbor down the street who's like, oh my gosh, I've been on the market 90 days. I just have to get out of here, drop my price 50 grand. They drop their price 50 grand. It brings the market down. So now you're chasing the market, right? And so it doesn't matter how many price reductions you can get ahead of to get you to where you need to be.
Don't ever chase the market either.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's like an airplane, it'll take you right to the ground. You gotta get ahead of it.
You got it. Thank you. So what's a price reduction today? Today's market, what's a price reduction? Well, let me ask you this. In a seller's market, when we used to talk about a seller's market, when we talked about this, and a seller accidentally priced above market and it wasn't moving, what was a price reduction?
1 to 2%.
2, 3.
5. It was always 5. Right? Because if we ask for 5, what do they give us?
1 to 2.
2 to 3. Right? In this market, what do we have to ask for?
100.
$1.
To get 50.
Get it down to $1.
You gotta go for 10. You gotta go for 10.
What would you think about 3?
Because, and here's how the conversation goes. It goes, I know you don't want to hear this. And honestly, Jorge, I don't want to say this. I don't want to tell you. But you don't want to hear this. But it would be, this is important, Sasha. This is gold. You ready? It would be malpractice for me not to tell you this. Because if I'm your doctor and I know you have cancer, and I don't tell you you have cancer, and you die, I lose my medical license. Is that fair?
Yep.
So if I'm your real estate agent, and I know your pricing strategy is not going to get you to your home sold, it would be malpractice of me not to tell you.
How do you spell that? That's a good one.
Malpractice.
M-A-L.
I know that.
So here's the other way to look at it too. And I know it's uncomfortable having price reduction conversations, but here's the other thing. In 6 months, when they fire you, they're going to hate you. No, trust me. I have people that will never talk to me again because I failed to sell their house. And they're pissed at me, and it was my fault, and I did everything wrong. And you know what? They're absolutely correct. There's only one reason homes expire. What is the one reason homes expire?
Overpriced.
No.
They didn't sell.
They don't feel like their agent's doing their jobs.
Communication.
Secret agent.
It's communication. Because think about it. If communication was done correctly at the beginning, expectations were set correctly in the beginning. If I'm giving you information about the market, and I'm communicating to
Every
you
week.
every week, there's no way your listing's going to expire. I might terminate your listing. I might say, I can't help you. I can't be your doctor. What you want, Jorge, is not in my ability to deliver, and you deserve a doctor that believes they can make that miracle happen for you. I'm not that person. Right? You should go hire somebody else. Would you like me to come pick up the sign? And you know what they said? Maybe I'll lower the price. Right? I mean, that's an honest conversation. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing is, I would rather let you down now and have you frustrated with me now while we're still friends. We're still frustrated, we're gonna get over this. Than you hate me in 6 months. Because you will. And I'm not gonna let you down later. It's not going to be better in December. Today is your best chance to get your home sold. In order for you to get your home sold today, I need you to drop the price to this amount. And it's not $5,000. It's $40 or $50. It's true. Two was all, damn it. Any questions on that?
Can you repeat that? There is no harm in underpricing your home.
You can't possibly underprice your home. It's not possible. The only mistake people make when they underprice their home is they accept an offer too soon.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You have to have enough time to have enough offers to compete them against each other to drive it to the value that it is in that moment of time. In that moment of time. That's all I can promise you.
It's true.
Right? Yes, sir.
Let's take the next step. With one showing a week, how many more buyers are you gonna produce and how long are you gonna hold off offers
Yeah.
in that particular case? Because I agree with you 100%, but I think it's a slippery slope.
Well, what are you talking? Are you talking about the 14 days to sold, the 72 sold process, or are you talking about a traditional sale?
Well, that's one and the same as far as me and you are concerned, right?
Well, but I think there's a time to create options though. Like if somebody, so you guys understand that the 72 sold process, we call it the 14 days to sold in our group, is repricing at 92% of market value, not of comps, of current market value, what we perceive it as, 92%. We're holding off active, or we're holding off showings for 4 to 5 days in order to congest showings together. So our offers are congested together and we can negotiate and bid them up. Okay, that's the 14 days to sold process. If somebody's not willing to price at 92%, we go traditional. Because this program's not for you, because it won't work at 95. It won't work at 97. It has to be the best deal on the market in the area or it doesn't work.
Okay,
That's it.
Okay.
I'm with you.
And then you pivot, you just say, not a problem, this program's not gonna work in that scenario, we'll go traditional. It's gonna take us about 27 days to get your home sold, and I'm gonna keep you abreast of the market and all the feedback as we progress. And you just go traditional. Right, online, centralized showing, the whole bit. Okay?
So,
But Sean, if you do the 14 days to sell, and you said you have to give it enough time, what do you see as enough time? A weekend?
No,
3
four-
days?
four-
4 days?
About 4 to 5 days minimum
To hold the showings.
to delay the showings.
So that'd
To
be from
delay
my
the
coming,
showings.
from my coming soon to.
We don't do coming
active-
soon. We go active, but we
active
delay
and
the
hold
showings.
showings.
That's right, that's if you do that whole process, not just if you allow.
So we go active on Thursday and we show on Tuesday. Tuesday's always our first show. Tuesday, Wednesday. But this it didn't work on my neighbors. Like we did it and we had one showing on Tuesday. No, we had 2. No offers.
I'm doing it in Edgewater right now, which should be pretty hot. I
Yeah.
only got 2 for Friday.
Well, we did it right before 4th of July. Like the week killed us.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So in some of these broad, older neighborhoods, you have houses that are ranging like $250,000. And so when you say you're at 92%, I mean, I kind of see 3 kinds of houses. The ones that grandma's leaving and hasn't done anything since 1964.
Yeah.
Then there's the one that's kind of, you know, it isn't bad, but it's right in the middle and it's, you know, it's not horrible. And then you have the ones that are all black and white,
Yeah.
right? Do you go to 92% of whatever category you would put that in? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's weird how broad that.
Well, and then you just have to tell me, you need to trust me to bid it up. And here's the other thing that I'll just caution you on, you know, I talk to a lot of you guys about your conversations that you have with your clients. And so we had an agent who called me on Sunday and he's, you know, he listed the house, he delayed the pricing conversation, which is how I coach people is, you know, you sign a listing contract, put a price in the listing contract that's, you know, that they're agreeable to, get the contract signed, because you can't obligate them to the listing contract price anyways. We never sell a house for the price that's in the listing contract, right? We sell all the time less than that. We can also sell it over that, doesn't matter. So just get the listing contract signed, move the pricing conversation to the day before you go active. So he did that, he's going active on Monday, he calls me on Sunday, and he's like, my client's pissed off at me. And I'm like, what happened? And he says, well, I'm telling him that his house isn't worth this amount of money. He wants to price it at $575. I'm telling him to price it at $550. I'd like to price it at $525. And I said, here's the problem. You're not listening to what he's saying. He wants $575. Don't argue with him about what he wants. That's what he wants. That's okay. Your job is to prove to him if the market can or can't get that. Don't argue that point, because the price that you put in the MLS isn't the final sales price. So like in my situation, if I'm in front of that seller says, I want to get $575, my response is, I want to get you $575. In order for me to get you that, I need it priced at $525. And this is where, Jorge, you're gonna have to trust me to negotiate and bid it up, okay? And if I can't, you're not obligated to accept any offer. You understand? But he was arguing with him about the value of the property. How long have you been doing this, Julie?
18 years.
18 years? Do you have a crystal ball on prices? Have you figured this out yet? Me neither. Nick? You got it? Kevin? Yeah.
I just asked a question.
I don't have a clue. Literally, that last listing Sophie and I just had, we priced it at 900. It went for 1.13. I thought we'd be lucky to break $1 million, right? Like, or 180,000 over asking. That's what it closed at. We had offers 200 over asking. I didn't have a clue. So why argue with them about what the value is? We don't know. There's only one way to know.
Go and test the water.
Go on the market. That's how we're going to find out. Let's find out together.
That's why we should see Sean skipping with his clients.
I'm like, yeah, this market's tougher than I thought it was going to be, right? Or this market was better than I thought. Don't argue with them, right? I always reference the Jerry Maguire, right? You guys remember Jerry Maguire? And Cuba Gooding Jr. is the athlete. Jerry Maguire is his agent, right? And Cuba Gooding Jr. is this like junior athlete, and he's just like had this like big year. And now all of a sudden everybody wants him. And Jerry Maguire's trying to negotiate his pay. And he's like, these guys are willing to pay you $40 million. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, not enough. And he says, and he starts yelling at Jerry Maguire, his agent. And he's saying, show me the money. And Jerry Maguire's like, this offer's fair. And he's like, show me the money. And he's yelling at him, yelling at him, until finally Jerry Maguire's like yelling back at him, show me the money. That's what your sellers are saying. Show me the money. What are they saying? Show me the offers. Give me offers and let me make a decision. That's what they're saying. Don't argue with me. You don't freaking know what my house is worth. You don't know what my value is. Toby Maguire didn't know what Cuba Gooding Jr.'s value was. And they ended up signing at what, $100 million or something? Some crazy number? Like 2.5 times what Jerry Maguire was getting signed for? He didn't know what the value was. That's what your clients are saying. We don't get in pissing matches. You don't have a crystal ball. I promise you, you don't. None of us do. Right? None of us do. Especially now. My job is I want to get you what you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything I can to get offers in front of you, and then you're going to make the decision if you take an offer. That's all I can do. And at the end of the day, if I put 3 offers in front of you and you said no to all of them, and I pack up my sign and drive my Subaru away, and I don't sell your house, then at least I held my head high because I put offers in front of you. I'd rather do that than take a listing and never have an offer. Right? That sucks. I don't have a Subaru.
Sure.
No, I'm the guy who's like running the Subaru. I'm like, get out of the fast lane. There's 3 lanes open. Get over there in the corner where you belong.
I like that.
So, Tessa,
Tessa's a little nervous.
this would be.
I was just thinking, that's me, except I'm in a minivan doing that. Doesn't matter what car it is,
That's
right?
So, Tessa, this would be a good opportunity for you to talk about your expired listing. Can you share? Can you come over here though, because I'm videoing this?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about?
How in depth do you want me to share about this?
Well, you don't have to use names, but be clear about the circumstances, the energy, the emotion, the intentionality, your feeling of obligation to this client, your fears.
There was a lot with this one, you guys. So this is a listing in Bailey. Before I came back here, this was a listing from my old teammate, okay? I've been to the house. I'm friends with the seller on Facebook. We don't really talk. So this sat for a year with only a showing every month or 2. It finally got an offer this spring. They started at, so to make it more complicated, seller bought this in January of 22 for 1.435. Okay? She listed it a year later at 145. And they did stucco, she painted the whole house, like everything on this house. It's in Bailey. It's a unique property in the sense that it is back off the highway, over 12 minutes off the highway. It's a steep, windy dirt road. Most people from out of state can't stomach this road, especially in the winter, so you're not gonna sell it in the winter. And it's, some would call it Spanish style, but it's technically Peruvian. It's really unique. It has hand-carved mahogany doors, and like the whole structural wall is this hand-formed brick from New Mexico. So it's really a unique
Super cool.
property. It's
Yeah.
really cool. It's really unique. It's on 22 acres. It has a detached
On
barn.
the top of the mountain.
Yeah, you have killer views there.
Yeah.
So I knew that this was not selling. You know, like I said, it was my old teammate's listing, and it just kind of came to a head, I guess. And the guy who had painted her house is my painter. We went to school together. And he apparently was like, call Tessa when she said it was done. So she reached out to me. I was unsure.
The agent and the client got in an argument.
They had a major blowout.
Major blowout. Okay, this is what
Yeah.
happens when you don't fulfill your obligation as an agent and don't communicate and don't get the house sold.
That's exactly right, because this
That's
seller,
what's coming.
her big thing was, I was calling once a month asking, what's going on? Are we doing an open house? Is there any updates? And she was getting nothing. And so I think when their one offer fell through and she couldn't get an answer as to why, she, handled it in a way that she wished she hadn't, but it had been stewing. So I was fortunate that this seller knew. She said, I know there's no scenario where I walk away without paying. She's always known that, but she was like, I just want you to tell me what to do to sell this. So I ended up on the
Because she
phone.
was a have to sell. She had to sell.
So she was, when they finally got the offer that terminated, it was at 1.179, okay? And she told me, she's like, I can bring X amount to the closing table to cover commissions and stuff, but I'd really like to avoid a short sale. That's my big thing, but if I have to do a short sale, that's fine. She just couldn't be up there. She got pregnant, it was family stuff. It was too remote for how things turned out pretty much immediately after she bought it. So she was really flexible. So I ended up on the phone with Sean, I think I called because I had a question, because I was like, should I be taking this? Should I not? It felt weird because it was my old teammate. And then I was talking about pricing, and he said, come in.
Just for the record on that, if you have a listing that expires, my expectation is that somebody else in this room gets that listing.
Right.
To teach you a lesson on how to sell your listing.
And then stands up here.
That is my expectation. Just for the record. Don't come to me and be like, so-and-so took my listing.
Good.
Yeah, and that's what Sean said to me. He was like, if it's available, it's available. It's not your fault that it, So we had talked, my seller and I had talked about different pricing strategies, and she was just like, just tell me what to do so we can sell it. And we talked about different options, and then I ended up on the phone with Sean, and he was like, here's a strategy we used on a house in Conifer. It really worked. And he said, price under. We sat down, he crunched some numbers. He said, listed it $1,090,000, which was, so
No,
she.
$1,050,000.
No, you said $1,090,000 is where you would do it at, and then, but you said if she'll do it lower, do it lower.
Oh, yeah.
And so we talked about it. This is not my comfort zone. I'm usually just super transparent. And so we talked about it and we went for it. So we did list, we listed at $1,050,000.
Yeah.
But then I called again and
Which
I said,
at $1,050,000 would have been a short sale. Or she would
she
have
would have owed $100,000 essentially.
She would have
at
been,
$1,000,000.
Yeah.
so she wouldn't have been able to actually, she would have had to do a short sale contract. We had no intention of selling a short sale, so we
Yeah.
priced it below her mortgage,
Yeah,
okay?
because her mortgage is just under 1.1.
With no intention to do a short sale. I want to be super clear. List price has no factor on what you're going to sell the house for.
Yes.
You can
You don't
underprice
have
it.
to take it.
You don't have
Yeah.
to take it. You can list a house for $1 and you don't have to sell it.
Well, let's start doing that.
Yeah.
It's common.
Let's do it.
It's common.
But wait,
Is
I
it
know.
available? Is it available?
I know what you're thinking. Doesn't this piss off the buyer's agent? And that's why I want Tessa to talk about this.
We
Because
definitely had an issue.
so good.
So then I called Sean right before 4th of July and I'm like, we're ready to list, but do I wait or do I not wait? You know, and so he said, we're just going for it this week, you know, because it does interfere with when you're doing it, but we know the market is declining right now, you know, the
It's not gonna be
seasonality is
bad.
going down. So we went ahead and listed. I made it so that they had to call me for showings. I put 6 photos. I actually had, because me and an old teammate used the same photographer, so I had 6 photos re-licensed to me for $25.
So she called the photographer that took the photos,
Yeah.
bought the license
I let
to
the
her.
teammate know. I disclosed everything. So I let her know I
So
took this
good.
listing. If you see the photos, this is what I did. Like we just had to get it listed right away. Jeff can't get here. We had to do it. Just know when it goes live, you're gonna see these photos. I had it relicensed. So I
She's
kept
gonna
that.
watch this video, right?
But no, different brokerage. Different brokerage.
She did.
So, so I did that. It was just 6 photos, and the description was just.
Now, really quick, why just 6?
Because then they can come
So
see
we
it.
have to go see the house.
So they have to go see the property.
And the 6
We-
photos are gorgeous.
Yeah, and we only put photos, like we spent, what, 30 minutes going through those photos, just saying,
Handpicked.
you can use this one, but you gotta crop this out. You can use this
Yeah.
one, like, cause it was like the bedroom has like the bathroom doors open, you can see the toilet. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, crop that cause we want this view. Do this one, do that one, but literally, people eliminate your house because of your photos.
Yeah.
They're not picking your house because of your photos.
We did not have a single photo of the living room, the kitchen, or any bathrooms.
We had
No.
all the best parts of the house. shot.
Exactly.
It
We
was
had an
like,
aerial
go on that
shot,
house.
a picture of the 1900 square
Beautiful.
foot barn,
Mhm.
just from the outside, and one of the
The
courtyard,
patio.
one of the view from the gazebo on the deck,
Yep.
and one of the entry with that really cool brick wall that I
Yeah,
told you
entrance.
it's plastered over, but some of the brick is exposed, and then one of the bedrooms that we cropped.
Yeah, the
And
crop.
that was it. So just one of the bedrooms. So we listed at $1,050,000 and they had to call me for the showings. So we did get a couple showings. So I think we had 4 showings. Yesterday was 2 weeks since we went live. So we saw 4 showings, plus the person who had it under contract before showed up at the house
Oh, wow.
while my seller was getting it ready for an actual scheduled showing. Stood there and talked to her for an hour or whatever. She kept saying, call Tessa, call Tessa. She called me afterwards and then verbalized an offer at list price with $30,000 in concessions, and was blown away when I said we had no intention of accepting this price. She said, so you're not gonna accept list price?
Nope.
And I said, well, I can't speak for my seller, but I'll have the conversation. I'll of course bring anything to her. I'm telling you, I don't think this is gonna, happen.
Oh, that's
Plus, you terminated before and we still don't fully understand why. I still don't really, she's weird. So this is buyer broker.
You didn't
okay?
tell her she was weird.
No.
Buyer is the broker?
So I did, I brought it to Brittany, I brought it to my seller, and my seller's really nice. She's from the deep south. She's very nice, but she was like, you can tell her to fuck off.
Perfect time to let out.
So I was like, well, let's at least counter with something, because this lady, I said, you're gonna have to come up after I talk to her, and she said, I'm having a hard time believing that this was her response after the conversation I had with her.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, do we wanna talk about how inappropriate the conversation was? Anyways, so I emailed her back and I said, this is what it needs to be. It needs to be 1.125, they were under contract before at 1.179. And I said, it needs to be here. I want $6,000 of the earnest money to be released immediately to the seller because she's already lost a month being under contract with you. Yada, yada, yada. She didn't respond for like a week, but said how she was acting in good faith and she was being reasonable. So we didn't, but it was an offer. We received it. We had another person who verbally wanted to submit an offer, but they were like, we're hesitant, they love it, they already live in Bailey, but their money is tied up in probate for 3 months. And I said, submit strong and see what happens. Like, this house was listed for a year. So it doesn't hurt to submit something. They never did. And then
Point
we
there,
got,
always encourage offers no matter what.
Yeah.
Why?
The seller's
You have leverage.
You get leverage,
Mhm.
right? When you want to negotiate your price up, I have another offer. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if the offer is 50 grand. I have another offer. What were you saying, Kevin?
Well, and the seller likes that too, because you actually can say, I got 3 offers.
Yeah.
she had one offer in a year.
And how many showings did she have in a year?
She wasn't even, I'd have to look, but she wasn't even getting a showing a month consistently.
Yeah.
Okay? She said it felt like we had more showings in this 2 weeks than the whole rest of the time. So then we had another showing, just before the 4th, I think on the 31st, whatever that Sunday was. And they submitted an offer, and it was at list, conventional, really clean, nice clean dates. And we went over it, and my seller, being the southerner she is, she was like, I can figure it out. I can figure out this money. And I said,
She's gonna bring 100,000.
we're not figuring this out, okay? We're gonna negotiate on it. So we wrote a counter at 1-1, and there was just a couple other changes, like some septic verbiage and all that, because they wanted it fully inspected in their verbiage. Ours was, it's already been inspected, but now it's been a year, so that's already scheduled. So really minor stuff. We sent it back, and I called the agent and I
Okay,
said,
now hold on, let's pause. So they're asking $1,050,000. The agent writes a clean offer
It
for
was
full
beautiful.
price, expecting it to be instantly signed. Now imagine this phone call.
yeah, so I called and I said, I just sent you a counter, and I'd like to talk about that so that it makes sense. And I was completely transparent with him, like, this is where my seller's at. She said, just tell him everything, So I said, this is where we're at. This is why we're asking for this. It would need to be a short sale here, and we're not looking to do that. And this was never priced to sell at this price. This was priced to generate multiple offers, because again, I'm gonna use the triage thing. Like, I am doing triage on this listing. This isn't a nice fresh listing. This has been here for a year. So I had to take drastic measures. So he said, okay, I'll talk to them. And then he came back and he texted me and he said that we're okay with all the terms, but my buyers have done everything you asked, and they feel like they've done everything you asked. And I said, okay, let me talk to the seller. And so I talked to her, and she was like, I knew it. These people, the buyers are from Texas. So she said, I know Southerners, like, we do a deal on a handshake, like, you get what you ask for. And if you didn't want that, you shouldn't have asked for that. So when I called him back and just said, we've had activity, we've had offers, and it was a holiday weekend, and it's only been, a week and a half. And I said, I know that we can fetch this price, and I think it's really quite reasonable. I think it's a steal for your people. I have an appraisal from December of 21 saying 1.435. So while the market has come down, I think we can all agree, and you can look at the comps, it has not come down this much. And he said, okay, they just can't get their head around doing what you asked and then doing more. And I said, I get that, because I do. And he said, okay, well, best of luck. And I said, okay. And about an hour later, he messaged me and said, I'm talking with the buyers. I think we can keep it together. They want the house. And then about another hour later, they signed the counter, as is. So that was Monday. They signed. Inspections are today. They were on it. Appraisal is tomorrow. So we're.
Now talk about your seller.
My seller, I called her and I did some small talk first, right? We end up small talking forever. So I asked about something else, and we talked and talked. And then I said, well, when I texted you, call me when you have a minute, I have news, it was not about any of this stuff. It was actually about work. And I said, so I got this text, and I read her the text from the other agent that said, they can't get their head around doing more. And she said, I knew it. I just, she went back to like trying to make it work. And I said, well, then we had a conversation, and that went on. And I said, and then I got this text, because what had happened, I was still driving. I'd been driving all day. So I got a text later that just said, I'm looking forward to working with you. Congratulations to your seller. And that's when I checked my email. I was driving, so I shouldn't have been checking anyways. And I saw that they had signed. So when I called her, and then I said, so then I got this text that said, I'm looking forward to working with you. You know, I read her the text and I kind of let it sink in, and I said, they signed your counter. And she sobbed. She literally sobbed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it was really good.
Makes it
So
better.
yes, I know. So it was really good.
Better than the alternative, getting fired and
Yeah.
losing a friend.
No, and she really was. She's really reasonable. So she was like, even if we don't accept this or they don't go for it, like there was offers at least. Like Sean said, there was at least the 2 offers and the 1 interested in less than 2 weeks. So she, like I said, I was really fortunate with her because she's quite reasonable, which is not always the case. But with
Well, then
her,
she
she
knows
was
you-
just happy that there was showings, there was activity, there was offers.
She knows you were working for her.
Mhm.
That's the frustration sellers have, is that, what are you doing to get my home sold? What are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yep.
And they can see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's
Way to
that.
go, Jack.
Great job. All right, so while we're on that topic, I want to finish up this last slide for you guys, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about repositioning listings. But this is a great one. So this is the last part of your pricing conversation when you're working with your clients, is 4 common seller mistakes. And this is a great one to, even in your initial listing presentation, this is a good one to touch on, but reiterate this when you're having your pricing conversation. The most common mistakes is that a seller selects an agent based on the highest list price. But then you have to explain what that means, right? Agents, it's called buying your listing. In our industry, that's what we call it. And it's a technique to convince somebody to sign a long-term contract with an agent that they can't get out of unilaterally, right? If I'm not doing my job as an agent, you can terminate me for not doing my job. But you can't just cancel my contract, because if I'm fulfilling the duties, you can't just say, I'm canceling the contract. I can hold your property off the market with my listing agreement, and you won't be able to show it. So your risk as a seller is literally, your biggest risk as a seller is signing a long-term contract with an agent that underperforms. That's your biggest risk, and it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. In this case, with your seller, Tessa, how much did it cost her that year that she lost with an agent that was unwilling to have difficult conversations?
Well, and she's not living there. It's
Oh.
vacant. She's renting a place and paying nearly $6,000 a month to keep this house until it sells too.
And then what did the price drop? Like what did the price drop from that?
So from where it was originally listed to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have prices in there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, prices dropped, right? So that's the risk from a seller. So you have to you have to hit that drum. Like, you have to make sure they feel that pain and that emotion. Selecting you the agent that promises that they'll save you money by discounting the commission, okay? That's the other one, right? An agent who says, hey, you know what, I'm gonna save you money. I'm gonna list your house for 1%. What do I charge, guys?
7.
Just got one the other day, 7% plus $485. And literally, I'm on the lake in Utah, and I get a call from the seller. I had done a presentation. They had just had some conversations that they had to have, and she says, I just wanted to ask again, you said your commission is 7%. And I paused and I thought, was that an objection? That was not an objection, that was a question. And I said, that's correct. And she said, okay, well, were you the agent that would do the trash out, to bring their people in to remove all the trash and debris? Wasn't me. I didn't say that. So I said, well, I don't recall talking about that. However, we're happy to coordinate that, get that done for you, and we'll have it charged to you at closing. It'll come out of your closing proceeds. She says, that sounds great. And I said, okay, so if I send Sophia over to get your contracts done so we can start working, are you prepared to sign? And they said, yep.
Sophia.
right?
Okay.
So I'm not fighting to the bottom, because to do these kind of things where you're highly attentive, highly accountable, I'll do whatever it takes to get your house sold. That's why I hate the a la carte commission. At this commission rate, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. At this commission rate, I'll do this, this, and this. At this commission rate, what happens when it doesn't sell? They go, well, if you would have done B, you would have got my house sold. Well, you only paid for C, right? Like, I'm like, look, you're gonna pay me A, and I'm gonna do A plus plus plus. I'm gonna do whatever I have to get it sold. Everything that's in my power, in my ability, I'm gonna do to get that thing sold. Right? That's what you're paying for. But I'm not gonna be C. I'm gonna be A. Right? Okay, choosing the nicest agent or the one you feel obligated to. Look, guys, I coach a lot of agents. When they come in, Sergio, oh my gosh, Sergio comes in the office the other day, all smiling. He goes, I just came back from a listing appointment. I was like, oh, awesome. He goes, oh, they liked me. And I said, you didn't get it. You didn't get it? I like you is like a hug goodbye. That is not a good sign at a listing appointment. We like you the best. Oh, you're super nice. Bye. You're never gonna see them again. People don't hire you because you're nice. They hire you because they trust that you're gonna get the result. They will hire an agent they hate. I've seen it over and over and over again. I'm in Arvada, Colorado. Trust me. The agent that their people hate, and they still list their homes with her. Okay?
I know who you're talking about.
I know that guy.
You know what I mean?
I know that guy who makes a lot of money.
So, yeah, choosing the nicest agent or the one you feel obligated to is a mistake. Right? You want to hire the agent that you feel is going to get you the best result. And then the last one is choosing the neighborhood expert. Why is choosing the neighborhood expert a mistake right now?
There's a big area to choose a house for. A buyer can pick a really wide area, not a neighborhood.
Let me be super specific. Who just got a listing under contract? Or had a buyer just go under contract? Where'd the buyer come from?
Not that neighborhood, not that neighborhood.
Where?
Like where, well, no, sorry,
From the buyer's
for my listing.
Sure. Do you know where
They
the buyer
lived in
come from?
Arvada, and then the listing was in Arvada.
But is the buyer from Arvada?
No, they're moving back
Yeah.
from Texas.
Exactly.
Mine are
Where's your buyer come
Texas
from?
now.
The East Coast.
Yeah. They're not here. Sophia and I just figured this out. The last 3 deals we did, they're not here. We have a $4.5 million buyer shopping right now. They're from here. They're not here. Your neighborhood specialist that's marketing with their freaking signs in the neighborhood. I'm not looking at you. That's not the strategy that's going to get your home sold. You need an agent who's going to market and get it out nationally. And this is, again, where delaying the showings works, because it gives time for somebody to get on a plane and get their butt out here with their pocket full of cash.
That's a good one.
Our people are from Texas.
That's a good one.
Are from Texas.
Yeah.
None of the buyers are local.
There you go.
Right? Seriously. So I'm going to share with you guys a technique on that. Okay.
You're crushing it.
Any questions on that stuff as far as like pricing properties, having conversations with your sellers?
Explaining it, that's good.
What's that?
Explaining that, it's just not just put a slide in there or something to read.
Yeah. Okay. So next is repositioning and refreshing expired listings. I'm going to go quickly through this because I want to get to the part that Julie's going to share with us, which is how to generate more leads from your sellers. Okay, so repositioning properties. So this is a stale listing that you have, or if you pick up an expired. So number 1 is photos. I'm telling you guys, the photo quality out there is absolute trash. If you want, I am happy to sit down with you and tell you what trash your photos are. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Right, Tessa? Well, they weren't your photos.
No, I mean, I use that photographer though.
Yeah, and we totally cropped them, we edited them, we were like, use this, crop this.
Yeah.
It's so specific. I'm not kidding, like, it's the littlest freaking nuances that prevent a house from getting shown. right? It's the craziest things, like a vaulted ceiling or the lack of a vaulted ceiling, right? Like my listing in Arvada, I won't show the living room photo because there's no vault. And I know in that price point, vaulted ceilings are important to people. That photo will not hit the internet. Now, agents call, they go, do you have photos? And I go, nothing I can share. I've shared everything the sellers are going to allow me to share.
How do you tell the seller that though, when they're like, oh, I want to show all my house, you know?
Exactly what I told you.
Yeah, just the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm the expert. I'm the doctor. The patient doesn't tell me what the treatment is. I'm the professional. Now, I'll tell you, if I have a seller who's like, you're going to do it my way. Okay. But guess what I'm going to do when it doesn't sell?
Blame you.
Do it my
You
way.
did it your way. You wouldn't let me do it my way, right? Okay. Your listing descriptions. Listing descriptions, if it isn't creating curiosity for them to want to come see the property, redo it. If you're reiterating what's already in the listing copy, oh, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, in such and such school district, and blah, 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 they can read. All that other stuff is there. It needs to be like something exciting to get them to want to go there, right?
AI isn't the answer.
Yeah,
No,
AI.
I still
Oh
use
my God.
AI.
It boasts.
I still did,
I
but
can
it's all
read it
fluff.
and I go, AI,
Yeah.
AI,
I don't think it
sucks.
matters. I also don't
You
think it's
start with
reading them.
AI
Not
and
many
then
times.
you
I
get
don't
better.
read them.
Yeah.
You know what I do? You're gonna really hate mine,
Yeah.
Kevin. Mine's a poem. My listing descriptions are poems or haikus.
Written by AI.
Well, kind of. I'll write them and then I'll have it fresh.
Make it better.
But it doesn't boast anything. I don't boast. But here's the thing is
Boast.
if you're giving too much description, they don't need to come see it. It just needs to be enough information where you're getting them excited. So my neighbor's listing, it says executive home, right? Because he is an executive. When you walk in that home, it feels like an executive home, right? So it's a story about what it's like to live in an executive home. Okay, so, and then the next piece, which I think is the most important piece when you're taking over or repositioning a listing, is you have to think about who your target demographic is. Who is the person that's going to buy this home, right?
Say that third one.
What's that?
Say that. Repeat the third one.
Who is the demographic that's going to buy this home? Now, not like, yeah, obviously, like there's people with kids or people without kids, but even greater than that, is it in a golf course community, right? So if it's a golf course community, you're already knowing, okay, there's a good chance that the person who's going to buy this likes golf. Okay, are there ways to market to people that like golf?
Yeah.
Right? So now we can, if we identify this demographic, okay, this is a golfer who's if it's $1 million and above house, they're probably an executive or in a white collar position, making good money. They probably live in, and I'm going to show you some tricks on this, in certain areas, and you can place your ads directly to those. Golfers, right? Here's my target demographic. Golfers who, are in this price point, in this demographic, right? And you can drop your ads literally right on them. So when you drop those ads, what photo do you have?
Golf course.
Showing the golf course.
The golf course! Not the freaking front door! Right? Like, oh my God, it drives me crazy. Like, this client I have in Boulder right now, they want a view. There's 140 homes between 2 million and 5 million in Boulder, and I have to sit there and go like this on all the freaking things to try to find the stupid view. If your house has a view, where should that photo be? First or second? Okay. So target demographics. So you can, once you identify your demographic, you can do command ads. So my neighbor's house, I started running command ads. I got 2 leads today off that ad, right? So now, if nothing else, even if those ads never return my phone call, it goes in my tracking sheet that my client can see. So every conversation I have regarding his house, I have a Google sheet that he's shared on, and he can see every agent I talk to, every buyer lead. And so as those leads come in, I say, this lead came in, I called him, this lead came in, I called him, and he sees I'm doing activity, right? Because that's what they want to know is, how many leads did you get? What's going on, right? Direct mail, right? You could direct mail. If you have a listing that has a specific demographic, you could direct mail to that demographic, right? You can identify that demographic and mail to them. And then lastly is, one of the biggest mistakes people miss on marketing listings is creative financing. When somebody sells a car dealership sells a car, they advertise the payment. They don't advertise the stupid car. They're like, oh, do you want a 330 Mercedes-Benz? You know, look at how pretty the leather is. Like, think of the commercial. What do they show? Brown, 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 and then they show the payment. The direct response is, I can own that car for $450 a month. How? Right? That's who they're marketing to, is people who want to feel luxury for $430 a month. What do we fail at in our industry? Marketing payments. What's the number one biggest concern consumers have right now?
Payment.
Do we have solutions?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, there's lots of solutions, right? We can buy down your rate. We could do a 2-1 buy down. We can use different financing metrics. We can use down payment assistance. So here's the ones I have. Okay, ready? Owner carry. Okay, when's the last time you did owner carry?
Never.
Okay, why?
Because there wasn't,
didn't need-
that wasn't in equity
It
for a
wasn't
while.
applicable to the market, really.
It is now.
Yeah.
It's very much so now. So if you have a client with a house that's paid for, their house is paid for, and you say, yeah, I want to sell it, and you're like, okay, what are you going to do with the money? They're like, I'm just going to put it in my retirement account. Okay, great. How would you be open to an owner carry situation where they put a large down payment down, and you're carrying a note in first position? If the person doesn't pay the payment, you can foreclose and get the house back, and it'll provide you residual income on the house for whatever, 5 to 10. You can have a 5 to 10 year balloon. 5 years, 10 years balloons, it pays out. There's some people, not 100%, there's some people that would be open to that conversation, right? Okay. Seller paid buy down, down payment assistance, seller paid closing costs, prepaying HOAs. So if you have a condo right now with a $400 a month HOA and it's $400,000 for the condo, what's the payment? $4,000 a month. Could you imagine buying a 2-bed, 2-bath condo for $4,000 a month right now as a buyer? But did you know if you prepay their HOA for a year, it doesn't count against their DTI?
Wow.
Okay? So you could prepay their HOA for a year. Now their payment starts at $3,600, and if they could previously only qualify to $350, now you can get them to qualify to $400. Okay? So what's it cost the seller to pay that? 4 times 12, $4,800. Better than price reduction.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh.
So,
That's a good one.
and then the last two are wraps and subject twos and assumptions.
Wraps.
Wraps.
That's what
It's
you-
happening. They're back, baby.
I thought they were illegal.
They are not illegal. Wraps are not illegal. It's just we have to have an attorney involved in writing it up.
They can be done illegally.
They can't be done. But
What's a wrap?
a wrap is where you have an existing first mortgage, and then the second mortgage comes in behind it. The buyer pays to the second mortgage, and the second mortgage covers the first mortgage, pays the first mortgage in addition to. So it's kind of a modified subject to. Okay? Here's the problem. That first mortgage has a due on sale clause,
Yep.
which says in the event that the title changes hands, they can trigger the due on sale clause. Things are not foreclosing right now. I know people that are a year behind on payments, not even an NED filed.
Yeah.
So if you have a client, and this is what I was going to do, if Tesla's house didn't sell, I was going to make her an offer subject to take over that house. from her. Because if her alternative was to come to closing with $50,000 or selling to me, right? I put up the money to cover commissions. She has me step in place. She can pull my credit, whatever, right? And so in a wrap situation, the way you set it up is that that homeowner becomes the second. I pay my payment to the homeowner pays the first. So she now knows if the first mortgage is being paid or not. The problem with other subject twos is when that first mortgage isn't being paid and the owner's collecting rent and doesn't pay the mortgage, that's called equity skimming. Yeah. That's a class 4 felony.
Yep.
So that's the illegal part. But what I'm talking about would have been, I would have moved in that house. I would have moved in. And that would have been fine because her alternative is what? A short sale or foreclosure. Right? This is happening right now, guys. This is happening in our market right now. And then the last is assumptions. FHA and VA loans are assumable. They're qualify assumable. VA, you don't even have to be a veteran, and VA will let you assume even if you're an investor. You don't have to own or
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was new to me.
The
Yeah.
VA you said?
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
baby.
only thing to know with that
Time
is
to buy a house.
we lose our eligibility if we do it. So it has to be the right circumstance.
You don't lose it. You just can't get it back until it's
yeah.
paid off.
Right.
It's not lost.
Fair. That's a better way of putting it.
But if you
you
were-
can also find I work with a lot of veteran investors, so you
Yeah.
could also have them take on your
Yeah.
assumability, and then you get it back immediately.
Right. If the assumer has VA, a DD 214, VA eligibility, then it can transfer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Has anyone done that? It seems like the ones I've looked into take a long time.
We have an agent right now. He's got 3 of them pending.
Yeah. I just did one with Tyson yesterday.
Yeah. It's happening, guys. This is not like pie in the sky stuff. This is stuff that's happening right now in our market. And it's only going to become more common. Okay. All right, last piece. Okay, so really quick on price reductions. Like when you're having this, I should say that for feedback, your weekly market updates and feedback. Okay. Here's what you're looking for when you're doing your weekly feedback. Number 1, you're going to go to showing time reports as Nick has taught us how to do, and you're going to look at how many showings happened in that price point and how many did you catch, right? Because if there were 6 showings, like I'll take Candelas, right? Right now there's 55 homes for sale in Candelas, 18 are new construction, the rest are resale, okay? We're right in the middle. The highest price one is 1.8. The lowest price is like 7, right at 700, 690, 700, right? So that's kind of the range in Candelas. Between 850 and $1 million, there were 6 showings over the past 2 weeks, okay? We got 4 of them, okay? We got 4 of them. So if I got 4 and there were 6, what does that tell me? I could have gotten 2 more. So what's happening? What's
They're
happening?
looking at a different house.
What?
They're not choosing, you're not getting all the showings. They're choosing a different house.
Right. So what does that tell me?
That there's competition.
The price is too high. I think you're doing really well. You got 4
There's
and
no
6.
buyer.
Pretty good.
There's something wrong. Something is wrong that my house is getting eliminated before it's getting shown. So that tells me to look at my MLS, look at my photos, look at my descriptions.
Are you saying the average was 6 and you got 4, or a total of 6 at the whole price range and you got 66% of them, and that's bad?
That's bad.
Why?
For me, I want
There's some other
100%.
houses in the same price range showing.
What if it's the
Same
same
buyer.
buyer?
That's what I was just
Yeah,
gonna say.
yeah.
What if it's the same buyer?
Looking at
What if there's
multiple
4
houses.
buyers?
You want them
Right,
to look at
and
your
2
house
of the
twice?
buyers saw your place and another house, then
Yeah.
you still have that buyer.
Well, fortunately, that wasn't the case because we did get 100% of the showings. I was just saying the scenario. I was just laying it out. My concern would be if I'm not getting the showings and there's showings in that price report, that's something.
Yeah.
My property's getting eliminated. So here's how you figure this out. You do a search of the area. Now remember, people don't search just Candelas, right? They're gonna search all their 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 3-car garage, with a basement in Arvada that's probably newer than 10 years, 15 years, because it's a newer home. They're gonna search that whole range. Then I'm gonna sort that by price point, and it's gonna say there's 20, I just did this, there's 21 for sale in Arvada that meet that criteria in that price range up to $1 million. Because they're not gonna go to 9, they're probably gonna go to $1 million. So what's out there? Where do I fall in that? Because how many homes does a buyer wanna look at?
Well, they want to look at a lot,
50.
but we won't let them.
No, they look at like 6, maybe 6 at a time. So the problem is if they're gonna start at the properties that are cheaper first, and I'm out of 21, I'm 19, this is a problem because I'm getting eliminated before I'm getting my showing. Does that make sense? So then I could look at it and say, where do I fall in here? Or another way to look at it is look at bedrooms, baths, and square footage in days on market. That's another one, is you can add that field days on market. And what that'll show you is for my square footage, my bedrooms and bathrooms, where am I ranking in here? And remember I said that the new homes that came on the market were priced under me?
Wow.
When I look at days on market, that's where I found that. Is because, this one's 3 days on market. I'm listed number 19. He's up here number 16 because he's more affordable than I am with the same bedrooms, baths, square footage. So he priced off me, pulled me up. You follow? So you have to look at the actives. That's my point. Don't look at the solds. Look at the market as a whole. Where does my house fall in that range? And then that's the conversation you have with your seller. Hey, there's 21 properties competing with you in our valley. Okay, 6 of them are in Candelas. Okay, 6 of them are in Candelas, but they're not just looking in Candelas. They're looking in Westwoods. They're looking in Fieldstone. They're looking in Layden Rock, and they're looking in Candelas. By the way, Candelas taxes are about double those other places, so they can afford less in Candelas than they could in those other areas. So you're ranked out of 21, you're 19. Out of the 6, we're number 4. There were 6 showings, we got 4. That tells a story, right? That tells a story. Now we got 100% of the showings. We're not 19 out of 21. We're actually at the top. We're like number 4, 5, 6. So I'm confident we're gonna stay where we're at. But does that help you kind of? I was going to pull this up, but I didn't want to.
How long will you be confident that that one?
Till August 15th.
Till Monday. No, literally. Yeah, I'm going to be freaking out by Monday. I was showing it 2:15, so. Yeah.
I just got a new description for you too for your listing.
What's that?
These are red, violets are blue. This ugly home was decorated just for you.
That's your listing. That's your Crayola listing. Nick has a listing right now. One room's blue, one's red, one's green, one's yellow. I said, it looks like somebody dropped a box of Crayola. Okay, so before we go, we got about 5 minutes left. And Julie, I'm so sorry. Can you come up here, please?
Oh, okay.
So share with us things that, because there's opportunity in this too. I know a lot of this seems negative, but there's huge opportunity in the fact that we have listing inventory to attract buyers. Share with us how we can get some more buyers and sellers from our listings.
Open houses, more open houses. And talk to the people at the open houses. That's the thing that's what I do. If I set up shop, I'm like acting like I'm in my little shop, people are coming into me and I'm asking them what they want.
I picked up 2 buyers from your open house and only 3 came in.
Well, good job.
Wow.
Why'd you miss one?
Yeah.
I don't know, she's not complete goner yet.
How long are your open houses, and what do you do to prep and make sure you get attendance to your open?
So I do only 2 hours.
Okay.
I like the 2-hour ones, but then I also like to do the impromptu ones if I have a vacant listing. So like I have a vacant listing in Genesee right now, and so I'll just go set up open house and I'll be like, this will be my office today. And I get a lot of neighbors coming in then because I don't have time to advertise it on the internet. But then they refer you people, and then they tell their friends, and it just seems like all my buyers I've had this year have been from open houses. And I was telling the story yesterday. I met a guy at an open house. He wrote an offer on my listing. He didn't have an agent. He didn't bid high enough. So I found him another house, and it was 2.2 million. Met him at the house. So you can't assume that if they're like over a price range, that they already have an agent. And everyone thinks that. But this guy, he started at 1.5. That's all my listing was 1.5.
That's
We
all.
showed him a lot of houses, and then finally he's like, I like this house in Evergreen, make an offer, 2.2, right? And then I take him to dinner. I said, why don't you bring your kids, right? The kids moved here from out of state. Brings the kids to dinner. Then last night, I take the daughter out. She's looking for a $900,000 home, right? So you just kind of do it like that. You just meet people through people. And
Let's be honest, why don't you do, not you, I'm not saying you specifically, and I'm not shaming the room, but why do we as an industry not do more open houses?
The weekends.
The weekends, yeah, that's a good one. Do you do all of them?
I had this person's not in here because they're not with our brokerage, but he
Screw that!
he keeps asking me to do my open houses, and I say, great, yeah, I got a lot of listings, do them. He goes, oh, I just found out it's gonna be too hot this weekend.
Oh my god!
I'm serious. I'm like, if it's in Genesee, go for it.
Okay,
It'll be a
Vicky will
little
do
cooler.
it, you know? Like,
No way.
there's,
You're
lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's on the weekends. Do you always do weekends, or do you do weekdays?
I'll do Fridays.
You'll do Friday.
I've
Okay.
done Wednesdays before.
Okay.
Depends on if there's a holiday and they have school off, like
Yeah.
the day before the 4th of July, the 3rd, I did one on
Really?
the 3rd. And I'll also do 2 back-to-back, like 12 to 2 and then 3 to 5.
Now, what's another reason we don't do open houses? I want to clean this out.
Feels a lot of work.
It feels awkward.
Yeah, I think a lot of agents don't like to do it because they don't know what to say, they feel awkward.
Okay.
That's what I
Not
don't
knowing
know
what to say.
We've had a bad experience where no one showed up.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had that happen.
Putting out the
I mean, I'll
signs.
go door knock and bring somebody over then. You know, so I get
Signs.
listen.
Can you come see this house?
I
Yeah.
mean, it
I
does go.
personally, you know why? I hate putting signs out.
Yeah. so
I
then you
hate.
put
I'm
it-
like
You
talking
don't
about.
have any.
It's like a walk of shame.
Then you
Get
have to go
somebody
get them
to
back.
do
This is
Get
why I
somebody
don't.
to
Sean,
do it.
I did it like 8 months pregnant. If I can do that, you can do
Well,
it.
when I get pregnant, I'll put them out. Who puts out your signs? Do
My
you?
husband puts them out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, most of the time.
But if you didn't have this amazing trade to do your signs, what and as an agent, would you find somebody else to do it, or would you do it yourself?
Yeah, find another husband.
Yeah. Ever. No, find somebody. What would it cost to pay somebody to put signs out?
I don't know.
20 bucks? 30
Never
bucks?
paid it. But I'll put him out, you know, if he does open houses too, and so if he's doing one, then I'll end up putting some of mine out. I won't do as good a job, probably.
Yeah. How many signs do you put out per listing?
At least 10.
That's a big
Now,
deal.
I had 5 taken from me last week in Castle Pines, so don't go there with
Yeah,
that.
beware of Arvada too.
And I just looked on Signs on the Cheap, which is the corrugated signs, you know, one-sided corrugated signs, $2.43 a piece.
Oh, where do you get those?
Signs on the Cheap.
Oh.
That's literally the
Oh,
website.
that's
Signs on the Cheap. They have them for 89 cents a piece, but they're the small,
too cheap.
they're the little ones.
Too cheap.
But the 18 by 24 are $2.49 one-sided. So there is a solution there.
One other
That's
thing I
the
do
other
that, I don't know if you guys do this, but, you know, there's
same
always
thing.
a neighborhood that.
Signs on the Cheap.
There's always a neighborhood that you've sold somebody else a house in, or you know somebody in, right?
Yeah.
So I always will text them and say, hey, I'm gonna be at this house. Come by and say hi to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they might, I had a guy send somebody to me, and she wanted to buy a house, but not that house, and so I sold her another house.
I love it. Did you have a question, Nick, before you take off?
You previously, since you do a lot of open houses, I've been doing them too, which I hate, because it's hot out.
Was it Nick?
What's funny is, you know, because in the old days, the more signs you put out, the more successful, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, everyone that comes in, I go, did you find us on the internet? Yeah. It's like you don't even have to put out a sign anymore. but I still think it's good, maybe it gets the straggler.
Yeah, you get the more you.
Well, I think
I-
there's
I got
confidence
it.
too, as they're following their GPS, you'll be like, oh yeah. it's
I got a good
actually
answer for that one, cause I
figure the
swear
signs are
the
just
signs
looking
are.
And then I got a second question for you, so go ahead.
Well, if you want an unattached buyer,
Yeah.
put the signs out.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you want buyers, like where agents are like, oh, there's an open house, go to that open house, it's on the internet, right? You see
Yeah.
it. But you get the most unattached buyers with lots of signs.
So then my next question to you is, you said you only do them 2 hours. So, you know, me and you coming back from the Bob Allison days, he was the legend, right? A bad legend. Nightmare legend. But he's like, if you're gonna do an open house, do it and work. Don't just go there for 2 hours to, you know, work the day.
Yeah.
And so, why do you just do 2 hours? I do 3 and I wanna kill myself.
Cause I think they always show up, and they show up the first hour and the last hour.
Yep.
You ever
They
notice
make
that?
it a priority.
Yeah.
I like
to
it.
do shorter.
I think with the internet now, if you just do 2 hours, we gotta be there in those 2 hours. That's why,
Right.
things are changing. That's why I wanted to pick your brain on what you think. But yeah. 'cause-
Yeah, you can do an hour Friday, hour Saturday, hour Sunday.
You're gonna screw up 3 of my days?
I don't know.
Or do them back to
Screw
back.
up 1 at a
I mean,
time.
I have never opened house in many years,
Do
so.
back to back, do one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
Julie,
All on the same day.
do you still do like, I remember I came to an open house up on backside of Genesee. And you and Trey were out there and you had a little table full of goodies in the driveway.
That's why I pop up a tent and,
Yeah, talk about that.
oh, so I have this tent and it says the Wines Group on it. And I take it to events too, like if I'm sponsoring a race or something. And if the weather's like not too hot, not too cold, I always put it in the driveway. And then we're sitting out there with a table and, you know, just, neighbors will come by and start talking to you and then we'll just send them in the house.
Oh, that's so
I started doing that during COVID when we had to screen everybody, right? You could only have one person go in
That's so good.
at a time, and so I just kept doing it.
Yeah, that was
But
really
then so no one's in,
You can sit out
no
under
one's
the
in the
tree.
house, I mean, you can't follow them around the house anyway.
But you know, if the house is vacant, you're
Yeah,
not
if it's
really worried.
vacant,
But if
it's
it,
fine.
but then if it, you know, if the seller's worried about it, yeah, then everybody's different.
So I have a question, what about we used to do the neighbors only open house, so like, if the regular open house is on Saturday, like Thursday night, you do a neighbors open house, wine and cheese for the neighbors, you door knock the neighborhood the day prior, and you say, hey, come to my neighbors only open house. Do you do those?
I've done those. I
Yeah.
don't do them consistently, I
Yeah.
will say.
Because that's a great way to meet, to find
Oh, yeah.
sellers, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, come check this out, they go, oh, well, we're thinking about selling, we'll see what these guys have done, right?
Yeah, usually if the person that's referred them to me is in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and they're like right there, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I'll have wine, cheese, and
Yeah.
it'll be short though, like 2 hours.
Awesome.
I think 2 hours is good.
Okay, so what are some other ideas that people can do to get more leads on their listings? What are some other things?
Besides doing open houses.
Yeah.
Mailers
Mailers to
to the neighborhood.
the neighborhood?
They're knocking, yeah.
I did those
Like
letters.
a just listing?
Yeah.
Sort of.
What letters?
You know the letters that say, oh, give me a call, I might have something.
The golden
else for
letter.
your house. It's kind of like a golden letter, but a little different, yeah.
Yeah.
More like a postcard.
Especially if you got multiple offers, right? Hey, we got multiple offers on this house. You know, Sophia and I just had that one that we sold in University Hills. We had 7 offers. One of the neighbors who's an agent called and said, hey, if you'll send me the list of your other buyers, and one of them buys my house, I'll pay you a referral fee. Yesterday we got a check. One of the buyers that had an agent bought his listing and he paid us a referral fee. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
when you do have that, you
Free
can send a
data.
letter and say, there's still, we got 5 offers, 1 person bought it, so there's still 4 people who are looking for this house.
Yeah.
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 Taking that to the next level, I know of an agent in Texas that sent these mailers out to the neighborhood after she closed on a listing, and it said, did you hear about your neighbor? You scan the QR code and it's a custom website that she created on Canva, talks about the story of how she got the home sold, how many offers, how many days on market, what the sold price was compared to list. Do you want to know more? Are you curious? Give me a call.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh
great.
my gosh,
People love
did you
stories.
hear about your neighbor? That's such,
That's a good
who
one.
isn't going to click on that?
And there's a picture like
That's what
this.
I want to hear.
That is a deep sun cut.
Yeah.
If you're gonna send out your just listed cards, and do you send it out to that neighborhood, to a higher price neighborhood, or to a lower price?
So I send out to the move up neighborhood,
Move up, right, the lower price.
cause when I tell the seller I'm gonna send out the just listed cards, and they're like, well, my neighbors are they're not gonna buy the house, right?
Right.
The move up neighborhood,
Yeah,
so
that's
like
what I-
Applewood, you've got your smaller homes, I mail to that move up neighborhood, or
I've never gotten one of your letters.
where do you live?
I live in Pleasant View, it's close enough.
Well,
golden.
that's not really Applewood, but yeah.
On that point, like talking about remarketing or repositioning listings, if you go to the U.S. Census Bureau website, hold on, I'll share this with you, because I did pull this up. I did part of it. You go to the U.S. Census Bureau, you can see where people are moving from. They have a census map. I don't know if you've ever pulled this up, but you can print this and bring this to your listing presentation and say, did you know that the majority of your buyers in this area are coming from, so look, here's Jefferson County. So most of our people are moving to, no, that's Larimer, right?
Wow.
Or Adams. That's where they're moving to. But if I wanted to place an ad, the neighborhoods I would do would be the yellow or the orange. And look at this, you would run an ad right down here. Like, this is Orange County, LA, right?
Wow.
This is like Lake Havasu area here. And then, look, they're moving down from the mountains.
Yep.
Right, Susan? Susan was on here. That's what Susan did.
These are where people are moving from.
Yeah, the orange is where they're moving from. The blue is where they're moving to. Right?
Oh, it's where the orange is moving, the orange people are moving to the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Jefferson County.
For Jefferson County. But I can click on
That's
any,
cool.
like I can click on, is that Jeffco?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Jeff.
Yeah, you did.
Click on Denver,
Which one's Denver,
right
right?
next to the little bitty one up to the
Little bitty
right.
one. Okay, I wanna deselect that. Here, let's just go here.
Is that for the year?
This
Yeah,
is
well-
last census, 2016 to 2000.
Oh, okay.
But it's still relatively relevant. So Denver,
It's about the story.
they're moving to Jeffco and to Adams County, and they're moving from
Yeah,
McKinley, New Mexico.
Huh.
Is that where Alamosa or
Alamos down in the right.
or not Alamosa? Where was the
Los Alamos?
Los Alamos? Yeah.
White Sands.
No, that's not there either.
And San Diego.
There's nothing, that's where Taos is.
And
So you'll have a new one of these at the end of the year,
Southern County.
because it's 16 to 20, so by the end of this year, you'll get.
that makes sense. Yeah, we're doing another census.
That'd probably be-
And also Chicago, notice Chicago is always a hot
Oh yeah,
spot.
right here. Look, there's
That's
Chicago.
always been a hot spot.
Mhm.
I've actually advertised in Chicago.
Yeah.
Huh.
So if I'm doing luxury, this is the map I would use, and then I would say, hey, I'm gonna put, for your listing, Julie, because your price point luxury, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run ads. Our number one migration part is believe it or not, is San Diego. It's, that's, right here is San Francisco, and then Chicago, and it's probably New York, right?
Yeah, probably Massachusetts.
For Denver County.
Massachusetts.
That's
Yeah.
where my $2 million buyer came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you're gonna run your command ads. So you would take your house here and run the ad there.
I did this all the time.
Right? Move to Colorado.
All the time.
You can also look in
Save some
command,
money.
they have that referral,
Promote your house.
that referral map too, to see where referrals coming from, and it can get even specific of the counties there too.
I love it.
So that, the new data comes out this year maybe?
Yeah, it's every 4 years. Yeah.
Can you go
Okay,
back to
really
that
quick,
website?
two ways to generate 2 more deals. Let me run through this really quick, Sasha. Neighbors open houses and door knocking your neighbors, right? Door knock before it goes active, door knock when you get an offer, right? Because you want to come, you want a door knock, hey, can't wait for you to see it. It's going to go active. Our grand opening weekend is such and such. You know, and then just make sure you have a lot of offers, and then go back through the neighborhood and go, hey, we actually ended up with multiple offers in that on that property. Do you know of anybody who's interested in selling? Right? That's a great way to go. Deliver flyers to local businesses. This is a huge miss, right? You want, especially if you're specializing in a neighborhood, deliver to local businesses. I had this like ghetto property that one of my friends owned, you know, because I'm from the trailer park, so that's where, you know, we had ghetto properties. It sold off of a flyer in a laundromat. Somebody saw the flyer in the laundromat, pulled the little tab off of it with my phone number, called me and bought her house off of a freaking flyer in a laundromat. Call to action signage. So you know where we talk about down payment assistance, owner carry, subject tos, assumptions, buy downs, seller buy downs, any kind of thing. Even if it's a lender buy down that they're offering that we're not even participating in, create a sign writer. This house comes with a 1-1 buy down. Contact me for more information. Anything you can do to get them to call you, or do a little sign in the yard that's separate with a QR code that you put in the yard that says, scan this for information on how to get a buy down on this house, right? Just like home builders do this, right? If you buy this new home, we're gonna buy your rate down, okay? Directional arrows, right? Remember those little
As
arrows
long as they
that,
don't pick them up, yeah.
who cares? They're literally 89 cents a piece. Take them. Take them. I don't care. I had Highlands Ranch call me one time and they said, we picked up all your open house signs. You need to come here and pick them up and pay a fine. I was like, keep them.
I have one Highlands Ranch at one. It was like right at the end of my open house, and somebody came in and they're like, hey, we saw your signs. You're not allowed to do them. I picked them up for you. And it was literally 10 minutes before I was closing up. And I was like, thank you. You just saved me 40 minutes.
Does Arvada still have that thing where they pick them up and ticket you too?
Yeah, yeah.
Some areas.
Yeah, one time I was there and I saw Jim Carroll signs and I called him and I'm like, you want me to pick yours up? He's like, please, that'd be great. They're coming in. We'll show up in his office. Here's your signs, dude. Directional arrows, because directional arrows, people see you and they recognize your name. So the directional arrows only work if you brand them. If it just says home for sale without you, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. It's got to be your brand. It's got to be your brand. Facebook ads, Craigslist ads. Craigslist still works. There's old people that still go on Craigslist.
What about Marketplace?
Facebook Marketplace is good. We're placing ads, and then the messaging, owning is better than rent, right? Like at the end of the day, like we have to communicate to people that owning is better than rent, and yeah, that's a great call to action on a sign, like, hey, I get it, it's expensive, but it's better than renting, right? Yeah. That's everything I have. I'm sorry.
Oh, and flyer boxes, like
flyer box.
I got one off a flyer box last week.
Literally with flyers in it?
All my listings I have flyer boxes.
Stop
but
it.
At the end of the street, like in Genesee, on the weekend, we put out this directional arrow and it's got a flyer box attached to it.
Nice.
And the people were in the neighborhood.
Of all the for sales?
Just the ones that I have for sale.
That's so good.
And they called me, showed them the house. They're now prospective buyers for me. So just a cheap flyer.
Everything works for Julie.
Yeah.
Julie's the best.
So
good.
Mountains don't love a flyer box though. Like in the mountains.
I hope you heard what Julie just said.
I have one on the highest cliff up there on Saddleback Mountain.
Yeah.
And they'll grab them. Yeah.
Yep. No,
people really go up there.
This listing, I got a call from somebody who lives in Littleton. They never ended up coming in, but they called. They live in Littleton, but they just bought a winter house in Arizona or something, and then they rent a house. This house, it's so far back off the highway, and there's probably only 3 properties past it, right? So I put my sign up early thinking, nobody's gonna see the dumb sign anyways. And these people called because they're renting a house in Bailey that's one of the few houses past this one. And they were just like, well, we rent this one for a little bit, but we're thinking maybe we would buy one up here and have this be a summer house and the Arizona be, so you never know with that stuff. But yeah.
So cool. I love it. Yeah, the old stuff works again. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. I'm so sorry that Tessa talked so